Oh no, I can't do that because that would be copyright infringement, right?
Yes.
But I love Bob. I love Bob.
But I like that you even got the drums down.
I know.
Yeah, that was pretty nice.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not really impressive because you've been doing that for a long time. Like, I'm not impressed by that anymore. But
No?
it was pretty good. It was good though.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. You just bursted my bubble. Go on.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Hello, Soul Questers. Thanks so much for joining us on the second part of Jerrell's interview. Yay.
Yeah. I'm back.
So exciting. Yes, you are back. That means you did good the first time.
Thank you. I tried. I tried to put my story out there.
Yeah.
And it's a good story. It's a good story too.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're enjoying it.
Thank you.
We're enjoying it. So Omar, take it away.
Oh, it's my turn now?
You take it away this time. I started last time.
I thought you were.
It's your time.
No, I thought it was just getting out of hand and it was being corny with my tudum.
No, I liked it.
Yeah.
See, I don't want to be mushy on camera though. We're not supposed to do all that.
No, we can't get sloppy.
No,
we said that already.
Yeah.
All right, come on. We got to focus.
All right,
We got to focus.
all
We
right,
got to focus.
all right. Chop. Let's do this.
Well, we have Jerrell back again. All right.
Yep.
So thank you so much last time. You dove really deep into like some really major themes.
Yes.
That are important in anybody's quest. You know. So we do want to get into a little bit more philosophical type of questions about you and the way that you view life. Primarily, I want to start talking about death, and the reason why is because in your profession, you see how fickle it is. Yes. And how precious, yet how fast it could go, and it doesn't discriminate.
No.
It doesn't care. It's something that is very impartial.
Yes.
And very. This is it.
Yes.
It's inevitable.
And it's inevitable.
It is.
And it's inevitable for all of us. So I want to hear your take on death from your experience, because you see it on a regular basis.
So, like we said before, firefighter, paramedic, seeing death the first time I've seen it didn't hit me as hard as I would have thought, due to the fact that I knew that coming to the profession, I was going to see it. Okay. So I kind of prepared myself for it, knowing that I'm going to see it. When I see it, or when I see a person that is lifeless, I think about, first of all, how old are they? If they're someone that's older, I kind of say to myself, hey, you lived your life. You did what you wanted to do. Hopefully you had fun, but the Lord said, now is your time. It just happens. There is no, I can't say like, hey, I'm gonna bring you back. Like, sometimes I could do whatever I can, work on you and give you all these medications, try to bring you back. But if it's time, it's time. I can't do anything about it, especially since when my first time, calling a death, because in my profession, you do have to call a time of death. The first time I did it, I was like, I contemplated in my head so many times, like, okay, is he lifeless? Is he pulseless? Does he have this? Does he have that? Rigor mortis, liver mortis. Does he? And I questioned myself for probably like 2 minutes in my head. Wow. It felt like 2 minutes, but you have to do it kind of quickly. But it felt like 2 minutes, like saying, like, man, is he really gone, or can I work on him?
Yeah,
it was that tough for me the first time.
Do you have? I'm just curious because I don't know. Do you have that sort of experience though? More like when this happens, like, do you have that sort of doubt? Like, I do. Should I do? Okay.
Because I think you should always have a little bit of doubt, because if you're too confident, you can't learn. I think you can't learn from it sometimes, because when you, let's just say if I know a certain rhythm on a heart, on a patient, I say that, okay, hey, that's normal sinus. I'm pretty confident that's normal sinus. But then someone who has more experience and more knowledge about it says, no, that's a first degree heart block or something like that. Then I'm like, well, dang. Well, no, I'm pretty sure that's a first, not first degree, a normal sinus. If you don't have that, not the confidence,
the experience,
and just like I guess just knowledge and
just like the actual experience doing the job and seeing the differences and being exposed, because not everybody is the same.
Correct. Because when that was my first time calling, so
it's experience.
And I was so scared. I was like, obviously I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing, But also, if this person is able to be saved, I want to make sure I'm able to do it. And if I call it, there's no going back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Once you say it, it's done.
That's it. So I want to make sure that I'm in the right at all times, because I will work on someone no matter what. But if it's an obvious, we're not gonna pursue that that route.
Right.
So
when you see different age groups, because I know in this particular field you see very young people.
Yes.
And I mean, I understand you mentioned that when somebody's older, it's easier to accept because they have lived a life. When you see that happening across those age groups, I know that you guys have been unfortunate enough to go into young people committing suicides and things. Like, how is that? And it's
tough. It really is tough, because you have to think what trials and tribulations did they go through to get to that point. Especially during a suicide. A young suicide, that's hard. Thinking about saying, hey, like, what did this child experience that was so traumatic that they said, I want to end my life? You start thinking about that stuff when you see it, or even when you hear about it. It's like, man, like, was life really that bad for you? And then you think about your life, is like, man, I kind of wish I could at least share that experience of how great life is with that person, but now you can't. And that's just it's tough. It really is tough, because you have to obviously you have to be professional and say, like, hey, they have passed, but at the same time, that's a tough cookie to swallow, because most firemen have kids. Especially with a younger individual that passed. If it's one of those age groups that a fireman has, like, their own kid, let's just say it's a 3-year-old, they're going to be devastated, because you're gonna picture your child. And you don't want to do that. That's just tough. So
that is tough.
With the younger patient, it is very, very tough. And you have to, I don't confide it. Like I said before, I talk about it, and I have to talk. I can't keep that bottled up, because it's going to affect me. And I'm going to sit back there and think about it and think about it and think about it until I do something. So I'd rather just sit there and just talk. I'd rather just get it out.
So as an individual, and you are exposed to all this, and you are faced with your mortality, how do you deal with that eventuality?
So my dad gave me a great word of wisdom. He said, no matter what happens, if I was to die tomorrow, I'm ready, because my dad's I'm Christian. My dad's, I would say, more of a Christian than I am, just due to the fact that he's a little bit more religious. I'm trying to be religious, a little bit more religious, but his upbringing was a little bit different than mine, obviously. So when he said that to me, it kind of put in perspective, like, listen, if it happens, it happens. I embrace it. I'm not going to sit here and regret my life decisions, saying I wish I did this, I wish I did that. That's why I don't have regrets with not playing football. It's just it happens.
It's a good way to look at it.
I try to, again, this backs to your other point, I try to go through life without any regrets.
Correct.
And when I come to those gates, I live my life. I can't be mad at what decisions I made. It is what it is. And however I die, hopefully it's an easy death. It is what it is, but if it's traumatic, it happened.
It happens as well.
I can't be mad at it. This decision I made, if I got into that traumatic event, it's a decision I made. I took that risk. And with hopefully living my life the way that I want to, hopefully I can live a good one, have kids, see grandkids, hopefully. I'm good.
It's funny you said that, which it just sort of made me think, like, every day, and I respect your profession, but even an individual such as myself, I don't have your profession. I can't even imagine doing your job. It's a lot, you know. We take a risk every day, every single day. You know what I mean? And so how you live your life, what I'm getting from what you're saying is how you live your life day in and day out is to basically not have regrets and live your life to the fullest.
Correct.
Like, so do you, when you're doing that, do you ever take moments where you're just like, did I do everything today that what could I have done differently? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, because there's days,
and even on your job, in your career,
there's days where, I'm home, I waste the day away, and it's like, dude, is that how you want to waste your day? Like, come on, man, you could do better than that. Like, and that happens so often because either A, I'm so tired, or I'm literally just being lazy in my mind. I don't want to do anything. But then it comes to that night, and it's like, I really wasted the day away. I can't believe that. When it comes to work, it comes with the patience, the interactions, because there's sometimes, and I think this is any job, you get fed up.
Yeah.
And I've gotten fed up to a point to where I've tried to hold my tongue, really just have that good patient experience, really just talk to the patient, and I can't because I'm just so pissed. I'm just fed up with the way that things were working that day. And then I look back on it and it's like, I really shouldn't have never talked to a patient. I'm not saying I was rude, but with that tone of voice.
Yeah.
That I do regret that. And well, not say regret, but look back on it and be like, I could have changed. I could have did better.
Yeah, you reflect on it. Yeah.
So let me ask you this, because you are of the millennial generation, right? And I'm we're Generation X's, and I like seeing the different generations learn from each other, and I learn a lot from millennials. And one of the things that I really like about what you're saying, that the way that you live, that I'm feeling that a lot of your generation wants, but they don't know how, is what is it that drives you to be so self-disciplined? Because you could easily say, I want to live my full life, so I want to go ahead and party.
Yeah.
I want to go ahead and floss.
Well, that's a great thing.
I want to go ahead and do all these things. I want to be the top dog.
Yeah.
Like, how is it that you are able to mitigate that and still focus on living a life that is your life?
Correct. So what I did, this is back to when I was in high school, my dad telling me, things about the real world. He told me, he's like, listen, get what you need to get done first, and then, have fun after. But it didn't really click because I wanted to go to college and party and have fun. That's what everyone else was doing. I was like,
correct.
I want to do that. And
Right.
it didn't happen. So, but what clicked for me was, and not to be racist or just biased or anything like that, when I seen an elderly white man, let's just say in his early 50s, driving around in a very nice car, and it gets you wondering, like, okay, what did you do to get to that point, and what did you sacrifice to get to that point?
Correct.
Right.
So what I started to learn, and what I started to figure out, or at least I made my own conclusion, was that, okay, you sacrifice your younger years, your 20s, to say, hey, I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to get what I need to get done, so that when I'm at a certain age, I'm chilling, I'm having fun, I'm doing the things that I've always wanted to do when I was younger, and I can still do it. So that's what made me come to that realization, Okay. So I just really put it into focus, like, you need to get the work done. Whatever you need to do now, you need to get it done before it's too late, and then you're going to have a regret.
Yeah.
That's what's going on with my career and my lifestyle now. Right. I don't want to go through it. I don't want to have that regret. Like I said, I want to be a surgeon or a trauma surgeon, and now I'm a fireman, but I still have that yearning for a higher purpose in medicine. So I'm going to pursue what I can in medicine as far as I can. If I don't make it, I don't make it, but I didn't have regrets doing it.
Correct. Yeah.
And it's a sacrifice because you're in school now.
Correct.
And it's a lot
of time I could be hanging out with friends, family, just doing everything I can to, enjoy life with them, but I'm sacrificing that.
It's like making a conscious decision to say, okay, that I can't attend that party or that get together.
It sucks because you want to make those memories with friends and let them know that you're there, but you can't. You have to dedicate a little bit of time. You have to be selfish and make some time for yourself to say, hey, I'm doing this now so that even later, when we're still friends, we can do whatever we want,
Right.
So
how is that idea of friendship evolved in your lifestyle? Because when you're younger, you're like, that's my boy. You said, we're from the same street, the same block. And as you progress through life, sometimes you have to leave those things behind. So how was that for you?
To be honest, now what I consider a friend is someone that gives me knowledge and experience and a little bit of wisdom. And your mindset is almost the same as mine. You're aiming to be better. You're not aiming to sit in the same spot and do the same thing. Complacency is, to me, is bad. I don't like it, because if you're complacent, you get lazy.
Right.
And when you're lazy, it just keeps getting worse.
Perpetuates.
Yeah,
it does.
So I have friends that push, and are driving for something that they want. May not be the same thing as me, but at least they're going for something in their life. They're pursuing it, and they're pursuing it hard. And I like that.
So has your pool of friends then, has it gotten smaller as a result now?
Yes, since high school, it's definitely, my circle has changed. Yeah. But now I feel like my circle is one of the best circles I've had, because of the amount of people that's in it, because my pool is pretty big. My friends I got like 12, but we're all on the same mindset. Yeah. So I can go to one and ask them, hey, this is what I'm thinking. And I can go to the other, and they're almost thinking the same exact thing. They may not know each other, but they're thinking the same thing. And it's like, this is the circle I want. Yeah.
Do you ever go back, and look at some of your old friends and the choices that they made?
Oh yeah.
And how do you feel, and what are some of the things that have happened to them?
So, well, one of the major things I think about is, I used to hang out with them, and I'm glad I didn't, because of the situations that they put themselves in, partying and, doing drugs and doing all this stuff that you shouldn't be doing. And now it's gotten them to a point to where now maybe they can't get a good job, or maybe they can't, progress farther in life because of the things that they did in the past. And I don't want to be in that situation, because if you're in that situation, you can't, it's hard to progress. You, unless you're an entrepreneur, you're not going to financially, let's just say, make the money to get further.
Correct. Yeah.
Because if you have you did jail time or something like that, it's going to hinder you. For instance, my uncle on my mom's side, he went to jail for selling drugs. Now he's a barber, makes good money. Yeah. But he wanted to do more, and he couldn't. Now he can't. So it just sucks to see that. And I'm not saying I pity them. It's just
that was their experience.
Yeah.
And
that was their path.
That was their path.
That was
now
their
they learned from it, and now they're like, okay, now I'm gonna.
Well, hopefully they did.
Yeah.
Your uncle obviously did, and there's a lot of people that don't get to listen. And then again, this is the idea of sharing stories, because we want to let them know that you have a choice.
Yes.
And we you had to make tough choices to be, I want to do this. And,
yes.
And you grew up in the hood. You went through experience. You had, your mom with the sickness, and
of course
you've experienced things too. And that's the whole idea of A Soul's Quest, is to be able to share your story so that other people can say, I kind of had that happen too, and
yeah, definitely.
He did all right.
Yeah. As of right now, I think I'm doing okay, but I'm just trying not to be complacent. Like I said, I want more. Yeah. I want to be that provider that someone relies on. Like you come to me and it's like, Jerrell got you. You know what I mean? And that's the way I feel about my job now. And even if I pursue further into medicine, that's just my mindset right now. I want it, and I'm gonna achieve it. Yeah, that's point blank. I'm gonna try my best to achieve it. So
there's listening to you speak about your interest in biology and science and the nature disciplines, and listening to your experiences in the medical field, and listen to your experiences with death. I have a question when it comes to where does religion play a role in your life, if any?
So I wouldn't say it's hard to blend it. It's just the way that I think about religion when it comes to my job is, yes, I hope that they have found that higher learning or higher essence, meaning God or things like that. I'm a Christian. I hope, Jesus forgive you for your sins and things like that. And hopefully, you did have found him in your life. And if you did, great. If you didn't, I can't do nothing about it. And I feel bad for you, and it's just, I don't say I blend it. It's just more of, hey, if you know him, great. If you didn't, I'm sorry. It is what it is,
So it plays a big role then for you. And
in my mind, it's just, you think about it, because you haven't met the person before he passed.
Right.
So you kind of make those assumptions like, okay, did he or did he not?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then there's sometimes where, you know, sometimes you may not even think about it because of how busy you are.
Yeah.
And then you come back at night and you reflect on it and you're like, dang, did they know him or did they not?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, for me, I know him and I just hope others do, because I do believe there's an afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I just want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to make sure I get there.
Make sure you get there.
Yeah.
Okay. And in your upbringing and the things that made you who you are, that was always a big cornerstone of it?
Yes, for sure. My family is very religious. I remember, you know, every Sunday it was church. I had to go to church. And as a younger kid, I did not understand the reasoning for it as much as I do now. And I try to get there as much as I can, but you know, I just revert to just reading scriptures and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but my parents and grandparents and family members still try to make it out to church just to get that little boost that they need. You know, but it's always been a cornerstone of my family.
One of the things that I always think is that science, a lot of the ways, justifies religion. Right?
Yes.
Like, you know, because you're in the medical field and you see that we are all more alike than we like to admit.
Yeah.
You know, that we're all really sons and daughters of the essence, so to speak. Is that your experience as well? Because, you know, in our modern times, we have the flexibility to look at our DNA, to be able to see that we all come from the same place. And although there might be conflict into the stories of religion, but do you feel that in essence it justifies it?
Meaning like the correlation between the science and the religion? Yes and a little bit of no. Okay. Just because I think I like facts. Okay. So that's why I like science. Science is fact almost.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So when you think about the human body, it's like, okay, you know, we're all the same. We're pretty much genetically almost the same except for certain things, right? But then I like the fact point where if I go to the Bible, we'll say, right? The Bible starts off with Genesis. It tells you how everything was created, right? But then some people say like, oh, you know, science, well, not science, but you know, the world was created by the Big Bang. It's like, okay, well, it's kind of like what the Bible said. The Bible said this was from this point. So it's a blend of like yes and no. I can't really say like, oh, you know, science, we were born from the Big Bang, but my religion is telling me like, no, we're not. It's not really from the Big Bang. It's just from the way that the Lord has perceived it. He perceived it as this. And there's different variations of it because people try to make their own assumptions of it. And I just try to take it as I try to make my own assumptions, just say, hey, this is what I think, and I'm going to keep this this way. Right. Because if I try to muddle it too much, I don't feel like it's right. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So I hope that answered the question.
No, yeah. Because personally, I know you, and it's not something that you impose on other people.
No, I try not to.
Yeah. And then you're very accepting.
Yeah, like whatever your religion is, that's your religion. I'm just gonna let you know, hey, I'm a Christian. Like we can say what we want. I have no indifferences. I have you could like whoever you like. That's cool. As long as you know the Lord, I am happy. Yeah, like, that's it. I'm not gonna sit here and be that preacher that you know tries to knock you down and bring you back up. Listen, wherever you're at, man, that's you.
You meet him there.
Yeah. So.
All right, so we're going to get into the reflection time, right?
Yes.
And this is one of my favorite parts.
The good stuff.
The good stuff. And the reason why is because, again, one of our objectives is to find the commonalities of people. Okay. And one of the processes that we came up with was called SCIAR. Okay. SCIAR is a Latin word meaning known. And what it means is that as you've gone through life, you actually have you've known certain aspects. So I'm going to kind of take you back into a couple of things that you said.
Okay. Or you're getting to know deeper,
yes.
More those aspects of yourself.
Okay.
So the first, we're going to start with S, and the S stands for solitude. And there's a couple of moments in your life that you mentioned that you felt powerless, you felt alone. I want you to if you don't mind taking us through that feeling of separation and solitude. Yeah. And how did that feel?
Oh yeah. So, you know, like we said with my mother, me being powerless with that, I was alone. I felt like I was alone. I didn't know what to do again, powerless. And what I did was just really reflect on what I should do. And as I told you before, I was like, hey, you know what? Maybe I should go and be with her. And even with being her, I still felt powerless. So at that point in time, I said, I need to make a change. I need to say like, oh, well, maybe I should, pursue medicine, because this would actually help her if I knew a little bit more, or if I did more for her. So I really tried in that era or solitude. And for my sake, I just said, hey, you know what? It's time to really look back and see what I can do for my mother. And that's what I chose to do. I chose to do some research on what I can do in terms of profession wise, and say, okay, this is what I'm going to pursue, because this would benefit my family the most, instead of pursuing something else.
You make it sound so easy.
It was not.
I was gonna say, you make it sound really fantastic, but you must have had to dig deep.
This was, when you're a kid, you have dreams, you have aspirations.
Yeah.
And as a kid, like I said, I wanted to be a NASCAR driver, drift, something that I could drive fast. And
Okay, Bobby.
I wanted to do that, and you had to make a decision. Like, no, this is not what it's going to be, because you need to do something for your family. You need to make sure that first and foremost that they're going to be okay, and I can provide anything that they will need. And also on top of that, the knowledge. The knowledge of a physician is immense, and they have tools that can help them. So I chose that because it would help. It would most benefit my mother and my sister, and also my aunt, who also has it too. But those three, it would benefit the most, because anyone can come to me and ask me like, hey, sure, you think I should be taking this, or do you think this would be good if I did that? I would rather have them have a sense of security with me than with a physician, if I'm already a physician.
Right.
So in that solitude, while you were reflecting in that quiet time, were there particular things that you did, like writing things down, or were you just thinking about it? It was,
so back to, I'll just bring this up a little bit. My father he's a thinker.
Okay.
Doesn't say things out loud. Okay. So he's always told me to have a plan. You always have a plan, and you have a goal. Let's achieve the goal. Okay. Long-term and life-term, from what I've learned through school, but also with my dad. He's always told me, if you're going to do something, plan it out. So what I would do, I would watch YouTube. I would figure out what is the best way to do about things. So I would not even ask for help. YouTube was the best friend. I used that guy.
Omar's best friend too.
Yeah, I used him for like, how to become a physician, and what to do to better yourself for applications and things like that. I looked all that up while I was younger, and I also looked up, obviously, lupus, being a pathologist, all of that stuff, because I wanted to make sure that I'm in the correct path to do it, because I don't want to get off path.
Right.
So that was one of those things that I did.
So you always wrote it down?
No, not necessarily wrote it down. It was always in my head.
Always in your head.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always.
Yeah.
Always there, because I couldn't stray off of it.
Right.
Okay.
I didn't want to stray off of it.
So it was a consistent thought.
Consistent. Even when becoming a fireman, it was still consistent.
Yeah.
But I knew there was a security becoming a fireman.
Yeah.
Because it's a job as for right now.
Right.
And then,
and also, don't you feel like becoming a firefighter and then an EMT, a firefighter, and then going into paramedic kind of put you into that position where you could actually make a confident decision as to what your path is?
And and it helped me obviously know my job and know what I wanted to do.
Right.
Because like I said, I have that yearning for medicine, and if I want it. So if I'm not getting enough of it here, that means I need to pursue it a little bit harder. That means I need to, start acquiring the information that I want to know. So, and that if that in terms means going to school, I'm not afraid to go back to school. I will go back. I just want to make sure I'm making the right decision to go back.
Yeah. You don't want to waste your time.
Do you, in those moments of being alone in solitude, and obviously you're Christian, so you pray and you use that. How do you use that to your advantage to get you to that zone? Or if you use it at all?
I do. I mean, it was times where, like I said, during those 2-year time periods when I wasn't hired, I sat back and really just prayed and asked the Lord if this is really, is this what I'm meant to do? Because if I'm not, I need to know.
Yeah. Tell me now.
Please, because during those times when you hear all your friends are getting hired, your classmates are getting hired, it's like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
You know, and that was another time where I self-reflected on myself, saying, hey, what are you doing and what are you not doing to get hired? And one of those things was, okay, I prayed about it. I kind of did, again, my YouTube research, figuring out what I can do, asking questions, asking for help. And I came to the conclusion that, hey, now it's time to go to paramedic school. And that was that enlightening moment for me to say, okay, hey, we're going to paramedic school. We're going to get this done. And at the end, if you get hired, great. If you don't, well, you're going to keep going through not the motion, but you're going to still pursue your other goals, because this is not the end.
Right. Yeah. So it really sounds like, with what you just shared and what you've shared with all of your interview is for the SKIAR purposes, the C stands for confrontation, confronting these issues. And it sounds to me like you took various steps to confront along the way.
Yes.
And so you sort of did a little bit of both the separation and the confronting.
Yes. I kind of blended it together, because there was yes, I was in solitude, but I'm comfortable being in solitude for certain things, but when it's time to confront it, it is time. Like it needs to be done immediately, because again, if it lingers, it's not going to do well. It's not going to bode well for me. So
can you give us an example? I mean, I know that you mentioned about the schooling. Could you give us another example that you haven't said as to when you really had to confront a situation and that was making you feel unease, and then you had to confront it, and what came out of that? So
I kind of related to the job aspect, if you don't mind. Going through the training for being a paramedic, there was a time where I just wasn't getting it, the correlations, the everything. Again, I like sciences and I can retain information that's needed, but when it was a time to apply it to a human, it was tough. And I hate being a burden. That's my biggest thing. That's one of my pet peeves. I can't be a burden.
Right.
I don't want to, because I want to be reliable.
Yeah.
So if I'm not reliable, that means I'm going to feel like crap.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
So it was one of those times where, again, I came back, I self-reflected. I figured out what I need to do.
Right.
I confronted someone about it. I was like, hey, do you mind helping me about, really just not cramming, but helping me understand this a little bit better. And they did. They gave me this book, and this book was about, pretty much the EMS practices, but it was for like back in the day, but it was still relevant for now. So I was like, whoa, I read this book and I was like, I think I understand it now.
Yeah.
And from that point on, I was able to, I wouldn't say recite, but pretty much use the medical guidelines and tell my own story about the medical guidelines, really just explain it to the best of my knowledge and the way that they wanted to have it heard or recited, and also just understand the pathologies that was with it. And to me, that was the time where I was like, I did it. You accomplished the goal. I accomplished. I did it. I was happy with that, and
you confronted it.
I was very ecstatic,
because it was a self-doubt that you were confronting.
I really, you think about it, and it's like, am I gonna be a good medic if I can't remember this stuff, or am I gonna be able to save that person's life when it's in a time of need? That's what goes through your head when you're becoming a paramedic,
right?
Because there's a lot of information and there's a lot of responsibility. That's what people don't understand. There's a lot of responsibility on you once you become a medic. And it's all up to you, because you are the liaison pretty much from the hospital to the field. What you did is, what the hospital is expecting you to do.
Right.
If you don't do it correctly, well, the outcome may be death for the patient.
Right.
I don't want that. So
that is a lot of responsibility.
It is.
There's the next part, it really focuses on integration, right? It's like there's a lot of lessons that you have learned up to this point. What are some of the most relevant lessons that you think that you have integrated into your life, based on everything that you have told us?
A lesson.
You already touched on one, which was the perseverance.
Yes, definitely have to keep persevering. And I would say, I don't want to sound cliche, Just don't doubt yourself. I'm still going through that now because I still doubt myself because I think I know I have the knowledge and the drive to get or achieve my goals, but it's the self-doubt and the self-worry because I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. It's kind of hard for me to answer that question because I want to do well. Yeah. It's just pretty much the basis of my life. I want to make sure that I do everything okay and it's doing everything right.
How do you deal with, and obviously things have changed, but how and you've dealt with failure by asking more questions and figuring these things out, and you have proven yourself that you're able to find a way through all this stuff. So even with that, why do you still feel doubt? Because you have proven it to yourself over and over again.
Because I expect more from myself.
Okay.
I have
so you have a higher expectation on yourself.
Yes, higher than anyone else, even higher than my dad. And I think my dad's expectation is the highest. Even though he says it's not, I always consider it the highest. I even consider his opinion the highest. You know, that's just the way I've always cared about myself because the things that I've been through, I want to make sure that I could do better. Like I shouldn't be placed in situations where I'm failing. Yeah. You know, I come to a situation, I believe that I'm going to do well in that situation no matter what.
Correct.
And if I'm not, then there comes that self-doubt, like, why are you having a hard time with this? It's myself. I'm my biggest critic.
Yeah. We're our biggest enemies in these situations.
I can criticize myself about anything, but it's like, dude, like, come on, man. Like, especially when it comes to, you know, education and my career and stuff like that. First of all, I don't want my name tainted.
You're correct, yeah.
Because my name is a reflection of my family. But also on top of that, I want to make sure that the care that the patient is receiving from me or just in general about anything, I want to make sure it's always right and always good. Because if it's not, then it's going to carry on to me and I'm going to think about it and it's going to be with me forever. So, and it kind of comes back to those other situations where I've told you, you know, the bad experiences with patients. It's like, you could have done better. You know, you shouldn't be that way. So hopefully that answers your question.
No, it does answer that question perfectly.
That actually brings us to the A in the SKIR because the A stands for awareness. And so it sounds to me, and I'm sure it sounds that way to Omar too, that you have a level of awareness about how you perceive things and how you react to things and how you how you experience things.
Because
and that awareness has brought you to where you are today because you know that you self-doubt. You know that you are hardest on yourself. You know these things, and that's a level of awareness that
because I think everyone needs to have that because you have to always look back and critique yourself, and it comes back to that awareness. If I can critique what I did in the past, maybe I can fix what it is for the future. That's at least what I think. Because if back then, so like I got accepted into nursing school. Back then, I applied to nursing school, right? And I figured out, okay, what did I do? Did I study hard enough? Did I put enough effort into it? And I could look back and say, no, I did not put enough effort into it because if I would have put enough effort into it, I would have made it. I'm not saying I'm dumb, but I know if I put my mind to it, I'm gonna achieve what I want.
Correct.
I'm gonna get it. You know what I mean? So that's what happened now. I sat back, reflected, looked back at what I did back at IRC and said, you know what? I'm gonna put more time into this test and not, you know, think it's like some normal test that I took back in high school. This is something that's serious. This is
meaningful.
This is very meaningful, and I need to make sure I get it done because this is the step one of my plan. If I don't complete step one, then why are you doing it? You know, I'm not going to change my goal, so I need to complete step one. And that's what it came down to.
How do you mitigate and how do you balance that that pressure that you put in yourself?
I don't.
You don't. You still always do it.
I always do because it's what drives me. I believe, because it's what I want.
So
I can't deviate from what I want because then it's going to lead to regret.
Correct.
I've already not saying wasted. Wasted is not a bad word, but I've set aside 3 years of my life of not doing anything other than firefighting,
Right.
getting, becoming a paramedic for the county and stuff like that. I
Right.
set aside 3 years already for that. I can't set aside any more time. It needs to happen now. And that's what I told myself. You have to put the time in. And if that means sacrificing time from friends and family, so be it. But it needs to happen because this was the goal from the get-go.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the things that I want to talk about awareness, right? And throughout our conversation, you mentioned how much your dad
Yes.
was that person that was that goalpost,
Yes.
so to speak. Are you aware? And are you aware that you surpassed that? That now that he no longer is setting that post for you. That you are the one setting that post.
I do know that, but it's my dad, man. He's always the one that's been the solid rock of confirmation.
No, but what I'm saying is that he achieved what he wanted.
In terms of like my dad achieved what he wanted?
Yeah, which is to get you to a point of surpassing
yes.
what he said for yourself.
Correct.
And then what he said for you.
Yes.
Now you're setting these goals and the objectives
Yes.
from yourself. And that's an awareness that a lot of people don't have. And that's really the great job of a father or a mother.
Yes.
To get their point to that.
I get it now because I get what you're saying now. So
Yeah.
yes, when I finally got hired, he that was the first time he cried. That was the time he was legitly crying. I was like, oh, I did it. Like this is the post, the goal that you're talking about. I've passed the point to where he wanted me to go.
Yeah.
And now he's happy. He is content.
Uh-huh.
Right.
And now that I set another kind of post in my mind of him saying, okay, you did it again. That's what I'm kind of striving for again. That's what I want. I want that confirmation from him again because it's nice.
But I don't think it's from him anymore. I think
it'll
it's for
be
you.
from him. Yeah. I think that's
Which
what
is-
Omar's alluding to.
which is
that
the great
he's
things.
not doing like you've already accomplished what he wanted for you to have a job, to have a career, to be successful in his mind, right?
Yes.
And now you're surpassing that by you're in nursing school. You've done you've had all these milestones in your life, in your young life, because you're young, and you're surpassing that. So you're the person that's created those, like Omar is saying, those goalposts.
Yeah.
But obviously you're not aware that that's something that.
I guess you're right because I've always set him as the goal.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I've never set myself as really that goal or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, so when it comes to that point of I want to be a physician.
Yeah.
My goal is, or in my mind, the post that's in my mind is literally my dad. But from what you're saying is, that awareness is actually myself putting that on me.
Yes.
And it's so, I don't think about that.
Because your dad's not saying
No, he's
anything
not.
to you anymore. He's like, I'm proud of my boy.
Yeah,
He
he's
did
happy.
good.
He's
He's
good.
great.
And
You're the one that's doing that for yourself.
Because
And that is, and the reason why I like doing this reflection is because you may not be aware of it, but I appreciate the fact that your dad did that your mom and your dad set that expectation, gave you the tools to set that expectation, and now when you look back at that, it's like, wow, that's just a real gift. And the reason why that's important to bring up, it's because now that they brought you to this certain point, now you're defining your own path.
Yes.
Which leads me into the final point,
That is true,
which is you went in through your cycle, right, to be where you are right now.
Correct.
You became now you know yourself.
Yes.
And you know that this is what you want. But the idea now is, how are you going to live the rest of your life, knowing full well that eventually there's going to be a finality of it.
Yep.
And I call this the return because you learn all this stuff and you got to go back to live a life. So what are your plans? What are your aspirations? I know that we touched a little bit on it, but I want you to be more specific when it comes to that return.
So pretty much on the return for me is to have fun going through life, make sure I try to achieve the goals. If I can't, it's not the end of the world. But I know in my mind it's going to feel like the end of the world, but it's not the end of the world. You know, I want to make sure that, I spend my life with someone that I love, have kids, hopefully have grandkids, and just continue to have fun throughout life. There's really no set trajectory. You know, like I said, I do want to be a physician, but if it doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world. But I just want to make sure I'm having fun.
What is
regrets.
that? How does fun? What is funness?
So fun
to
to me is just making sure that there is no. Well, it sounds cliche, but having no bad times. You know, having fun to me could be laying in bed, just chilling, watching TV. You know, having Elisa right next to me. That's having fun to me. I'm good. I'm content with that.
Learning.
Yeah. Or I can go to, hang out with some friends and say, hey, you know what? We're gonna have a few drinks. That's having fun. I don't want to.
Oh, you're gonna try to beat me in spade again?
Or dominoes.
No, it's spades.
Oh,
spades.
it
was
he doesn't want any more of this. He doesn't want any more.
I want to touch that again. We're gonna get that.
Oh,
back.
he wants to touch that again.
That's gonna happen.
He can't handle this.
Oh. Wow.
I'm South Bronx trained.
my fun is that's just what I can consider fun. It's nothing too elaborate. It's just making sure I'm going through life, chilling, having a good time, and just being there.
Yeah,
making the most out of it. That's
making the most. Yes.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, this has been one of the best interviews that we've done.
Thank you.
We wanted to have individuals like yourself that are driven, that are very self-aware.
Yeah.
You know, that showcase that living a life worth living. You don't have to be a celebrity. You don't have to be any of that. You just have to know what you want and go from there. And I know that we're getting towards the culmination of this interview, but I am so. I met you for about a year or so ago, and I am so impressed by you, your girlfriend, because you typify the models that I would like people to emulate.
Yeah.
You know,
thank you.
And I know that your future is so bright. You have so many things going for yourself. I know I'm very hard on myself too. The lighting is not good enough in this thing, and it really drives me insane.
The TV turns.
TV turns, and all that kind of stuff. So I could understand that, but the good thing about that is that inner drive to learn and to expand more. So I hope that you never lose that and keep holding on to that.
I'm gonna hold on.
And I'm putting my just like Alicia over there is looking when I tell you that he needs to go for the surgeon, right? That wasn't this time being a nurse. That's exactly what she's going to say. She keeps rolling her eyes at you. So, but no, thank you so much for taking this time.
Thank you.
And I hope that the Generation Zs, the Millennials, and Generation Xs that are potentially watching the show learn a lot from your experiences. And thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, thank you very much. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you. I'm glad I got the experience and tell my story. So.
Yeah. We love you sharing your story. Thank you.
He'll be back.
He will be back. We're gonna have to have you back. Yeah, we'll have you back.
We'll bring Alicia over there too, and then we'll do maybe the couples together, right?
A couple interview. We haven't thought about that one.
Yes,
See, you guys are like an inspiration.
An inspiration right away.
Be awesome. She's gonna tell
She's
her whole
great.
story.
She's great. She's just shy. She'll be like, hey, how are you?
All right, stop picking on her.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed watching this. If you haven't checked us out yet at our website, check us out at asoulsquest.com. And don't forget to check us out on all social media outlets and make sure you like and subscribe.
You better.
Take care.
Goodbye, Soul Questers.
Bye.